Andrew, Epstein, and Trump were literally together in 2019. Wait, what? In the newly released batch of documents from the House Oversight Committee, new documents show that Epstein saying he attended a meeting in London in 2019 with President Trump and Prince Andrew. He said Trump thinks he is king. No, I don't believe this. This has not been previously reported. Phytux is actually pretty reliable, but I have not seen this before. Where the f did this come from? This would be the biggest bombshell. What? Is red no? Is invitation no? Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny. What the f? There is no way. 2019, that's when Jeffrey Epstein got killed, brother. That doesn't make any sense. Are you telling me that he got killed right after he met with Donald Trump? He got arrested and killed right after he met with Prince Andrews and Donald Trump. The emails also say Epstein was at Trump Tower in 2016 right after the election and had Thanksgiving with Trump in 2017. What? I mean, is it Jeffrey Epstein just basically lying to heighten his importance to onlookers? These guys do that stuff all the time. They make it seem like they're a lot closer to power than they actually are to other people. Or is it real? Is there actual evidence? Because if that's the case, it's Jover. Oh my God. There will be a Thomas Crooks in every corner of this country. You understand? Like, this will destroy the collective consciousness of MAGA. If there is evidence of Donald Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein far beyond what we already assume is the timeline of like up until 2012, right? If it goes beyond that, and if it goes into the territory where he was already president, that would be insane. That would shock me. It would shock the world, and it would brick every QAnon MAGA guy. They will go feral. This is why Trump is safe, because Epstein is already dead. Ain't no way he's safe. Like, who is he talking to? They are literally in the Situation Room over this. I love that people are like, bro, nothing ever happens. This won't change anything, whatever. Meanwhile, Trump is literally losing his mind. This is from 30 minutes ago from Jim at CNN. A meeting in the Situation Room to pressure a Republican congresswoman to vote against releasing all Epstein files. Oh my Lord. I don't know why I can't find a journalist reporting this Trump Tower thing. Yeah, I need a more credible report on this Mar-a-Lago invite, potentially. Mike Johnson, 8 minutes ago, breaking on MSNBC. Mike Johnson says he intends to put the Epstein resolution in the House floor next week. Yeah, we already covered that. That already came out. Trump on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff a couple hours ago, by the way. Here it is. I have it right here. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. Anyway, is shit about to hit the fan? I mean, Trump is moving like it is. Trump is moving like it is. They're calling it the least suspicious pressure campaign of all time. Trump ramps up pressure on GOP to thwart Epstein vote. The interesting part about this is that, like, the administration is entirely compromised on this stuff. So if people question the allegiances that Donald Trump had with Jeffrey Epstein, right, and they are currently, what's interesting about this is that they will also question J.D. Vance, who is Peter Thiel's guy, right? Peter Thiel is the billionaire that basically put J.D. Vance into the seat of power. Okay, you are traveling, so I'm inclined to believe this is it. That's true. I do have that tendency when I'm flying around. I mean, one day I literally flew for one day, and the Democrats ended up unceremoniously caving on the shutdown. I was in the air. But yeah, J.D. Vance is directly connected to Epstein by way of Peter Thiel. So if the standard, let's say, by Republicans and conspiracy guys is basically like, we want someone who is not affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein, then there's not that many people you can go to. This would be a massive purge. I don't think it'll happen, but it would at least cause a lot of fissure within the base. And it would create a lot of instability and chaos, as it is slated to create amongst the base within the party and the actual people in positions of power.
Political battle ongoing, which has led to the publication of these documents.
Hi, Anna. Yeah, this, make no mistake, is a difficult episode for Donald Trump. Increasingly difficult, no doubt. The story, it drips new detail on a rolling basis. It has done for months. Incrementally, it gets closer to the president. His opponents already see guilt by association, and they are convinced by that. There are many in Republican ranks who too have serious suspicions. Trump's defense thus far, as you said, has been, look, this is all a Democrat hoax, and he's dismissed this contact with Epstein as a long-ago friendship with a man he now labels a creep and a... His defense doesn't necessarily get any easier with these emails, these fresh documents. Interestingly, there's no denial from the White House of the email that says Trump was in Epstein's house with an Epstein victim. Their response was to name that victim, Virginia Giuffre. Her name was mispronounced at the White House. They make the point that she didn't have a problem with Trump. He was professional and friendly to her. But, you know, if we're now saying and agreeing that Trump is placed in Epstein's house with a victim for hours, then, if nothing else, that raises questions of its own beyond him being well behaved. She was a victim of sex trafficking. Did he know that? Why didn't he know that? How could he not have known that? What did they discuss? What did he think a young girl was doing in that set of circumstances, in that situation? It's interesting, the White House chose to name her, Virginia Giuffre. Her family have been very vocal about Donald Trump themselves. They've had a lot to say about the Trump administration, and what they have said is release all the
Epstein was arrested 33 days after supposedly meeting with Trump and Prince Andrew in London in 2019 from the oversight Dems near the top of the document. So why is this not being reported on? I just don't understand. Like, this part of the story is incredibly consequential. This is, oh my God. Late edition of Trump's schedule tonight. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait a minute. President signs Senate amendment to HR 5371, continuing appropriations, AG leg branch. Wait, I don't think he's going on camera for this. I'm gonna be honest. Am I crazy? Does it feel like this is more so to like address some of the stuff? Because he's gonna be in front of a press briefing. I mean, it's White House press pool. We know what that means. They're gonna ask him this question in the most favorable way possible, right? That's 2 hours from now. God damn it, dude. He surely won't say anything stupid. I mean, judging by his past performance, is there even a chance that he doesn't say something stupid? He cannot help himself. He has to be in front of the camera, but he also famously cannot help himself when this shit happens, where he will just be like, listen, it was only a couple young girls. Me and Jeffrey Epstein, we hung out quite a bit. And I loved hanging out with him because we played games. We played craps together. People change. Who cares? Don't talk about it anymore. It's a hoax. Remember that week-long sequence whenever Donald Trump was called into question about his affiliations with Jeffrey Epstein, he would just turn around and be like, this is a hoax. Everyone that actually cares about this is stupid and bad and wrong. And you're really hurting my feelings. And you need to stop. You need to stop hurting my feelings like this. And everyone would be like, dude, I didn't think you were a... But it's kind of hard for me not to feel like you're giving, sweetie. Like, he was just like hemorrhage. He was just attacking his own base constantly, just being like, come on, don't do it anymore. Don't ask. These are vicious haters. He has a little bit of that like Benjamin Netanyahu streak in him when it comes down to shit like this. When it comes down to talking about shit like this, where he'll just be like the Benjamin Netanyahu week-long sequence of just being like, we did not kill Charlie Kirk. If we were to have killed Charlie Kirk in a school, we would have killed all the children. After all, we're Israel. You know, like, that's what Benjamin Netanyahu was doing. Like, Trump has that dog in him as well. Every time he tries to talk about this Jeffrey Epstein shit, he just ends up making people more confused and more suspicious. He ends up making people feel like, okay, you guys did actually diddle kids together, it seems. Your Netanyahu sounds similar to your Obama. I know, it's just on the fly. Okay, calm down. Breaking. Oh, by the way, this was also another moment. The Landon Thomas Jr. thing is actually very suspicious because Landon Thomas Jr. is a New York Times journalist. Why is a New York Times journalist tipping Epstein off about a follow-up investigation by journalist and former NYPD detective John Connolly? Importance, high. Thomas Landon Jr., who is a financial reporter for the New York Times, is sending a email to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject, got another call from John Connolly. What is this? Dean Withers tweet about Trump meeting in London. Okay, that's Dean Withers' tweet. Dean Withers is like me tweeting about it. Okay? Or even less less consequential. Why is the New York Times not reporting about it? But what's also confusing about this info that came out is partially because maybe because of stuff like this. This is a New York Times financial reporter. This is a New York Times financial reporter tipping off Jeffrey Epstein about people doing research into him. He's digging around again. Not clear if it's another book or expanded paperback version. Was asking me all sorts of questions about why you hired Ken Starr. I told him I had no idea. I think he's doing some Trump-related digging too. Anyway, for what it's worth. He sent this article, this reference, said, keep getting calls from this guy doing a book on you, John Connolly. This is the first one. Jeffrey Epstein in 2019. Trump going to Howard Lutnick's house on Thursday. Howard Lutnick was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor in New York City. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, he could have known. He could have known this because he's their neighbors. Mercury News reported on it July 8th, 2019. Donald Trump and Prince Andrew met up in London ahead of Jeffrey Epstein's arrest on new sex trafficking charges. Wait, what? Trump and Prince, two of Epstein's most famous friends, appeared in photo ops during the president's UK visit. Oh my God. Oh my God. Lemon Brother, did you trigger the prophecy intentionally? The ancestor spirit of world history since you left the country and all of this shit bubbled to the surface immediately? I wonder what Kash Patel thinks these days. Brother, Kash Patel doesn't think. He just reacts. Oh my God. If true, this is an absolute nuke. It proves that Trump's involvement with Epstein went far beyond 2012 and that he was that Epstein was arrested shortly after this meeting and then died under the custody of the state in the Trump administration. I mean, this is like a direct line of evidence that basically points to Donald Trump directly, allegedly killing Jeffrey Epstein. Why 2012? I thought it went all the way to 2012 in the latest, in the information that we knew. Trump claims he had no communication with Epstein since before he was prosecuted for sex trafficking in 2008. I think it went beyond 2008, right? I thought he had done media, like positive media about Jeffrey Epstein. Mega looked at the primary source and confirmed it. No, I know. Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny. Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago. Steve Bannon, can't believe nobody's making you the connective tissue. Brother, were they just saying everything out loud in these emails? What the is going on? I'm going crazy. It feels like no, we knew Steve Bannon was connected to Jeffrey Epstein. That's another Trump administration loyalist that is deeply connected with Jeffrey Epstein. Remember, Steve Bannon actually went to Jeffrey Epstein and was training him for a potential deposition. And once outed that he was deeply connected to Jeffrey Epstein, he turned around and was like, oh, I was just filming him because I was going to do a negative documentary about Jeffrey Epstein. That never was released, by the way. Weirdly enough, he has hours and hours and hours of footage of Jeffrey Epstein and himself, and yet he never revealed that footage. And I don't believe he will ever reveal the full footage, obviously. Like, it'll be heavily manipulated. I don't know what's happening right now. I don't know how to perceive all of this. Sender, Steve Bannon. Red, yes. Is invitation, no. Message, can't believe nobody is making you the connective tissue. Sender, iTunes, gmail.com. FNB only. Sender, Steve Bannon. What is that? Message, Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny. I think these are chat messages for the record. Well, if he's subpoenaed by Congress, he'll have to give it up. He's already been in prison once for failing to appear. I don't know how Trump is going to actually protect himself and everyone around him that is so deeply connected to Jeffrey Epstein. The previous reporting on this from Mercury News and Boston Globe and all of these other outlets does not actually feature Epstein being connected. Like, none of them until this moment have revealed that Jeffrey Epstein was a part of this meeting. This is new information. If true, there's an absolute nuke. It proves that Trump's involvement with Epstein went far beyond, I'm not going to say 2012, what we knew about, and that Epstein was arrested shortly after this meeting and then died under the custody of the state in the Trump administration. It's going to be one news cycle, and then something else will take over, another will come of it. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein is the Epstein story. And I talked about this last time this became a big ordeal. But the Jeffrey Epstein story is basically the only way for a lot of Trump's base of support to exhibit some form of like class consciousness almost. It's obviously not class consciousness at all. The Jeffrey Epstein story, as I said before, is like the closest a lot of the lumpen proles and a lot of like working class Americans have ever gotten to unlocking class consciousness or something that resembles class consciousness. It's because it's like somewhat conspiratorial thinking, even though it is real. It's not a conspiracy theory, right? So this is the most earnest, most honest expression of financial elites in shadowy back rooms doing some of the most heinous crimes of all time without any scrutiny whatsoever, because they're like they're doing it around all of these other like incredibly wealthy individuals. So this is very much a, it's not a left versus right, it's up versus down story. And so I don't think they will give up on it. It's a real motivator for a lot of people. Tim Onion, Pizzagate. If you replace the word hot dog with little boy and pizza party with child sex orgy, you will see the lengths that these elites go to cover up their sex crimes. Real elite emails. Send me nude pictures of those 8th graders we abused last weekend. Post haste. I am the ambassador to Turkey. Yeah, I mean, literally. Like, they weren't ordering children by ordering hot dogs from like a pizza parlor. They were just straight up saying it in the emails. The emails literally read like, hello, I am Jeffrey Epstein. You are the Prime Minister of Israel. I would like to sell Israeli spyware as I am a part of the Mossad. Like, that's just no OPSEC whatsoever. They straight up were like, well, of course, we're untouchable. We're the financial elite. We're the people that hold the levers of power. No one's going to come after us. They were communicating with one another with no OPSEC. Like, the average drug dealer around the corner has better OPSEC than Jeffrey fucking Epstein does. Okay? Because the average drug dealer actually is fearful that they might experience criminal repercussions. Jeffrey Epstein and all these other guys behaved as though they would never experience criminal repercussions. Do you understand? See, but that's why the dumb shit QAnon people won't believe it, because any truth that is too obvious, no. Epstein stuff is so... No. The Epstein stuff is one that the QAnon people also believe. Also, it's so direct... Dude. It is so... It is the real version of what they fantasize about. It is impossible for them to avoid this stuff. At most, depending on how insane they are, they might say, oh, Trump was a white hat or some shit, but I don't think that's going to work. I don't think there's a lot of people in the QAnon side of things that would look at the story and be like, yeah, no, I think Trump was still a good guy in this story. There will be some, but I don't think it'll be all. This also, in my opinion, offers a unique opportunity for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is very well positioned to exhaust this perspective over and over again, to exhaust this line of attack, this angle of attack, as she has been an outspoken critic of Israel now, and also an outspoken defender of Epstein's victims, and also someone who had ambitions of higher office that seemingly was thwarted by the establishment Republicans and the Trump administration, and she has this vendetta now. This is going to be an opportunity for Marjorie Taylor Greene who has a lot of name recognition and a lot of loyalty within that MAGA base, as a person who's been running around talking about Jewish space lasers and shit for years and years, which sounds so stupid, but that is how you garner loyalty from this base. She is positioned so perfectly to Trump every step of the way and clearly has the ambition to do so. Same with Tucker Carlson. Same with Candace Owens, especially Candace Owens, because Tucker Carlson, I think, is more of a shrewd operator who I would be more interested to see how Tucker Carlson navigates these waters, because while these guys have been very aggressive in the way that they talk about Israel, they rarely ever blame Trump for it. They rarely ever cast doubt on Trump and his loyalties to America first and foremost, right? This could be an interesting moment. If Tucker Carlson also goes, yeah, Trump is actually cooked. He's like an Epstein affiliate. This is unacceptable. That means like there will be a real fissure within the populist wing, within the base of support for the Republicans. Legitimate question. I can't think of a reason he wouldn't. But why won't Trump just nuke the files or alter them? The entire DOJ is dick riders. It's a good question. It's funny how you were talking shit about Trump and Epstein while in China. Wonder what the news in China is about Epstein. I don't think the Chinese news covers that kind of stuff as much. At least like sometimes I'll be watching Chinese TV. You know, when we were at the at the train station, and they're just covering like infrastructure improvements and things like that. No, I'm serious. Like it's they don't. I'm sure they cover it sometimes, and I haven't like encountered it. But I mean, you saw the newspaper, the People's Railway, my favorite newspaper. They're talking about how they're following through on Xi Jinping thought and finding areas of improvement that are necessary for their railroads, for the infrastructure. Yeah. Unlike America, we don't feel the need to cover the shortcomings of our rival. We have too many successes to cover, says Top G. Nobody cares about America as much as America. That's not true. The rest of the world absolutely cares about America. Yet you won't admit you're autistic. I mean, in many ways, I think China is also a very autistic country. Like I said, they have newspapers dedicated entirely to the railroads. What is that if not maximum autism? And I mean that positively, of course. Epstein flight logs show a trip to France on June 14th, 2019. So we might have actually went to London, is what you're saying.